Jessica has an adventure for us today.
Yeah, welcome everyone. Yes, my name's Jessica Flowers, and I have taught many of you in Sunday school, so it's so nice to see you again. And what you may not have known is that I'm also a yoga teacher. So I'm going to lead you through some yoga postures today, and we're going to have a fun adventure with that. So we're going to start out by just doing some stretching that you might do at home before we go out on our adventure. And so you can start by just, as you breathe in, bring your arms up over your head. And then we're going to stretch to one side, kind of like you're stretching your body into the shape of a banana. And then we're going to come back up to center. And then we're going to stretch over to the other side. So we kind of have our little banana snack. So we're nice and fueled up for our adventure. Then you can breathe in and bring your arms up overhead again. And then you're going to bring your hands down to the ground in front of you and just rock forward and come up onto your hands and your knees. And then we're going to do some stretches that like a cat might do. I have two cats at home. So we're going to swish our tail slowly from side to side like a cat might swish its tail. Just rocking your hips from side to side. You can look over your shoulder, maybe try to touch your tail to the tip of your nose and look over your other shoulder. And then we're going to tuck our tail between our legs and tuck our chin in so that we could imagine that we're tucking our tail to the tip of our nose under our body. And then you're going to send your tail up high over the top of your body and touch it to the tip of your nose. Move your head up so you can touch that tail to the tip of your nose. And then back down, bringing your tail between your legs. And then back up over your back. A few more times like that, just stretching out your back. And then you're going to tuck your toes under and begin to come down on your arms. Keep your hips up high over your knees. We're just stretching out our upper body. This is called puppy dog pose. So if you have a puppy or a dog, you might see them stretch like this when they get up. And then walking your hands in a little bit, you're just going to lift up your knees with your toes still tucked under. You're going to send your hips up high, coming into down dog. When you're in your down dog, you could shake your tail, wag your tail a little bit. You might stick one leg up in the air and shake that around. And put that leg down and shake your other leg around. Nice. I like your shaking doggies. And then you can lower back down onto your knees. Nice work. Oh, now we got a little bit of our stretching done and we're ready to go. We're ready to start our adventure into the wilderness. We're going to start out today in a place called Jope. Have any of you ever heard of that before? You can shake your head yes or no. No? Maybe you've heard of Taychopera? Anybody heard of that before? No? What if I told you that Taychopera means land of the four lakes and Jope means four lakes? Any ideas? I'll tell you those four lakes are named Kagansa, Wabisa, Mendota, and Monona. Have you heard of those lakes before? Yes. So you might have guessed we're starting out in Madison, Wisconsin today. But before this place was called Madison, before we lived here, many hundreds or thousands of years ago, there were people living here called the Winnebago or Ho-Chunk. And when they lived here, this land was called Jope, or the Four Lakes. So it's just neat to think sometimes about where we are and what history might have been here before we lived here. And what I think is really neat about the Native American culture or the indigenous people that lived here, as well as the yogis who were practicing yoga in India and China and different places across Asia, is that they were very connected with nature and animals throughout the nature. So we're going to start with we're going to do a lot of different animal postures today. Where we're going to start, you can maybe come up standing first, step your feet a little bit wide. For me, at least, in my body, this makes it a little bit easier to come into this first pose. Then we're just going to lower our hips down, bending your knees. Your hands come out in front of you. And we are now in frog pose. So you might jump up and down a little bit, do some ribbits. Ribbit. Nice frogs, everybody. And then one of the next animals that you might see here in Wisconsin and even in India is a rabbit. So we're going to come onto our hands and knees again. And then you're going to tuck your head in front of your knees. You're going to kind of set the top of your head down, and you can reach your hands back to your feet. Now you're kind of in the shape of a rabbit, and you can lift up your hips, kind of rocking forward a little bit, sort of like a rabbit, how their legs move. And now we can come back up out of our rabbit pose. Oh, that looks so good, Izzy. Come back up out of our rabbit pose, and we're gonna, yeah?
I'm Emmy.
Oh, sorry, Emmy. So we're gonna come into our swan pose. So from your hands and knees, you can take your right knee towards your right wrist, bending your knee, and then your left leg is going to come long behind you. This is our swan pose, and wabisa, one of those four legs, actually means swan. And we can come down, we can come into a sleeping swan for a moment. And then coming back up, nice peaceful swan. You can take your left knee towards your left wrist and walking your right leg long, coming into your beautiful swan, and then walking your hands down, coming into your sleeping swan for a moment. All right, and then walking your hands back up. We're going to come back onto our seat. And you can bend your knees, bringing your feet onto the mat. Your feet are nice and wide. And then you're going to tuck your arms under your knees. Like this. Yeah. Good. Okay. This is our turtle pose. So you can do some little stretches with your neck, stretching your neck forward like a turtle sticking its head out of its shell, and then tucking your head back in, stretching it forward, and coming back into your shell. Many of the Native American people from this area referred to North America, where we are, as Turtle Island. All right. Nice job with your warm-up animal postures. Now we're going to get ready to go from Wisconsin to India. And I'll bring my globe a little bit closer so you can see how far we're going today. We have Wisconsin right here in North America, and we're gonna go all the way to India, way over here. That's a long way. And from here you can kind of see how the people that were in America thousands of years before us, they may have come across to this area through North Asia. There was an area of land across that connected to around Alaska into Canada, and people made their way down into North America thousands and thousands of years ago, maybe 12,000 or 15,000 years ago. They made that trek out into the wilderness. So even today, it takes many days to travel from North America to India. So we're going to mark those days by doing something called sun salutations. So I have my little paper plate here today that I made to look like a sun. You don't need one of these though, but if you have something, you could use it. But otherwise, you can just kind of follow along with my sun. So we're going to start out by standing. You might lose my upper body for a moment. We're going to stand and we're going to raise our arms up high. And then, so we're rising the sun, and then we're setting the sun. We're going to set the sun on our mat, right up at the top of our mat, or you can imagine a circle on the ground in front of you. And you're just going to set your hands on either side of that circle, and you can step your feet back, lower down to your knees, and we're just going to bend our elbows back and come down. We're going to say, "Hi, sun," 3 times. "Hi, sun." One more time. "Hi, sun." Nice job. And then we're going to lower all the way down onto the mat or onto the ground. And you can bring your hands right underneath your shoulders. And you're just going to lift up your chest a little bit, getting nice and broad through your chest. We're coming into cobra pose. Cobra is a snake that you might find in India. And if you can lower back down, this time when you come up, you can bring your tongue to the back of your teeth. You can hiss like a snake. Can you hiss like a snake? Nice, I heard somebody hissing there. All right, nice work. Now we're going to press back up. Come back up to standing. You can take, if you have a sun with you, I'm going to take my sun up, and we're going to come into one leg back and one leg forward, and we're just going to rise our sun up. You can bring your arms up and then lower your arms down. The sun's setting, and we're going to rise the sun and set the sun. One more time, rising the sun, and then we'll set the sun back down. You can put your hands on either side of the sun. Just gonna step back with that leg that you had in front, and we're gonna lower down. You can lower down to your knees, or maybe you have really strong arms, you stay up on your legs. We're going to lower down and say hi to our sun 3 more times. Ready? Hi, sun. Hi, sun. Hi, sun. All right, coming back up, we're going to step up again, and we'll pick up our sun. Now this time you'll step your other leg back. I'm going to turn to the other direction. And you're just going to take your sun, or sunset, and we're going to rise our sun up And set the sun back down. Rise our sun up. And set the sun back down. One more time. Rising up. And setting the sun down. And we can set the sun all the way down. We're going to step our front foot back. Come down onto our knees. Nice work, everybody. That was such a long trip. So many days we did, so many sunsets. Let's sit our hips back towards our heels, and we'll take a rest in child's pose for a moment. So you can take your knees a little bit wider if you like. Make a little space for your body to come down between your legs, and just bring your forehead down onto the mat or the ground. Just taking a rest, feeling that nice calming energy from the earth after that long trip. All right, I think I'm ready to do our next adventure. Now we're in India. I wonder what animals we might see in India. There's some different animals there that we don't have here in North America. One of them, you can come onto your knees and come up on your knees. You might tuck your toes under like this. We're just going to reach our arms back and try to maybe find our heels. And you're going to press your belly out in front, making a big hump like a camel. This is your camel pose. So we're going to ride our camel around India. Of course, now they have cars and everything like that, but you might still be able to take a camel ride. But then our camel starts running. He starts running. You can stand up, and the camel's running away. And we fell off our camel. Why do you think our camel ran away? I don't know. Uh-oh. I think I know why. It's a lion. Can you step your feet wide? You can put your hands on your thighs, and you're going to stick your tongue out, and we're going to do lion's breath. Ready? One more time. Let's do our lion's breath. Nice. Good job, Emmy. I love that. All right. So lion's breath is something you can do if you're feeling really frustrated or angry and you have all this energy that you want to get out and you don't want to yell. Maybe you can just stick your tongue out and do a lion's breath instead. All right. Now, what are we going to do about that lion? I'm not sure. Let's come back up. And what's that? Bring your hands together. We're going to swing side to side. An elephant comes along, and that elephant is swinging its trunk, and it's going towards the lion, and it scares that lion away. Phew! Let's swing our trunk really wide. Bring your one hand down. You can reach your other arm up. Swing your trunk high this way, and then bring that hand down, reach your other hand up, swinging your trunk high this way, and then coming back down. Just taking a rest. That elephant was so good to scare that lion away for us. All right, what other animal might we see in India? I think there are some monkeys there. So we'll lift one leg up, bend your knee, and lift your other arm up. And we're going to do a little dance like a monkey. You can hop from side to side. Whoa, ooh, ooh, ah, ah. You make your monkey noises. Yeah. Oh, that monkey, he's coming after me. He wants to get in my bag. I wonder what he wants out of my bag. That's right, I packed some more bananas for our trip. I thought we might want a snack later. So we can come back down onto our mat. And we're going to make a banana shape this time on our backs. You're going to stretch your feet out long, and then walk your feet over to one side. You can walk your arms over, bring your arms up overhead, kind of making your body into the shape of a C, or like a banana. We'll stretch to one side, and then we'll come back to the middle. We'll walk our feet over to the other side and our hands over, stretching into banana on this other side. And then coming back to center. You can just let your arms rest comfortably by your side. Great work today, everybody. If you want to cover up with a blanket, you can. Or put a pillow under your legs or under your head. You might just soften or close your eyes. Start to notice your breath. As we just imagine that we're traveling back. We had quite an adventure today. Riding on that camel. Seeing a lion and an elephant and a monkey. Before we came across from North America to India, we saw a frog and a rabbit, a swan, and a turtle. All these fun animal shapes that can connect us to nature. A few more breaths here. And then you can begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. You may take your arms up overhead and do a nice big stretch. And then you can bring your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a hug. And thank yourself for making time for your yoga practice today. And then you can roll onto your side. Press yourself back up to seated. And I encourage each of you maybe to ask your parents today, or if you have grandparents, the next time that you talk to your grandparents, maybe you can find out a little bit of history about your own family. My family, I grew up in Michigan, and I have some Native Americans in my own family. I have my baby book here, so you might ask your parents if they have a baby book, it might have something like called a family tree in it. So I was looking at my family tree this morning to remind myself. A lot of my family came from Ireland, and they had to escape Ireland at the time because they were being persecuted there, and they came here to America. But some of my family was from the northern Michigan and the Upper Peninsula. My great-great-grandma Charlotte, she was born on the 4th of July in 1830, almost 200 years ago. And she was a Chippewa or Ojibwa Indian. And my great-great-grandma Mary on my mother's side, that was on my dad's side. My great-great-grandma Mary, my mom's family lived in southwest Michigan in the area of Potawatomi. And what was interesting about my great-great-grandma Mary is that I don't know her last name. I have to find out from some of my other family if they know her last name. But it's thought that her name originally wasn't even Mary, because for a long time in our history, Native Americans children were being put into schools and being taught to learn English, to read and to write in English. So a lot of children, and it's thought that this was my great-great-grandma Mary, that they kind of tried to hide the fact that she was a Native American because they didn't want her taken and put into the school, taken away from her family. So it's just really interesting sometimes, I think, to know about your family history as well as the history of where we are. So maybe, like I said, you could ask your grandparents, maybe if you have a Zoom call with them sometime in the next week or so, and just find out a little bit more about your history. All right. Thank you guys so much for practicing yoga today with me. We're going to come into a little bit of a closing prayer. We're going to bring our hands together and your thumbs together. You can bring your thumbs to your forehead. It's sometimes called your third eye. This is your center for guidance and wisdom. So you say, may we use these qualities to do good and to help others. And then you can bring your thumbs down to your mouth, touching your lips. May we speak the truth and use our words kindly. And you can bring your thumbs down to your heart space and bow your thinking mind to your warm, loving heart. And you can say, may we lead with our hearts. May our actions come from this place of love. And then you can bring your hands down, connecting with the earth by your sides. Say, may we always feel nurtured and supported by Mother Earth. Great job today, everyone.